I mean, it was right after her inauguration, and it was important for her to be able to lay out what the things she was trying to do. I mean, she spoke about transparency within the government, which had not been there before. She spoke about making sure that Liberia was able to benefit from the natural resources that were there. She spoke about engaging young people in a way that hadn't been done before. And then looking back a few years later, some of those things she's been able to do, some of those things she hasn't. And so I think that Liberia remains a space where African Americans have the ability to invest economically, and a safe space to be able to encourage kind of this overall transition of sub-Saharan Africa from one way of doing things to another. Now, her and her administration haven't gotten there yet, but I still think there's a great deal of potential of that happening. I mean, I think he passed health care, and I think that that was step number one. I mean, that's a seminal piece of legislation that's going to help a large number of people, and though it's not a perfect piece of legislation, it's still a move in the right direction and something that no president has been able to do for the last 70 years. So I think that if he has the same level of focus with his other agenda items as he has with health care, that come the end of his first term, we'll see more transformation than we have up until now. I mean, that's an unsophisticated way to look at it. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a 100-year-old organization. So they're not going to change the name of the organization simply because one word is outdated. At the end of the day, the question is the agenda outdated? And so if the agenda is effectively changing the lives of black people, then understand the historical importance of the name and keep it moving. People who argue about the name don't really want to do no work. I mean, I think education is important. I think that the discussion we're getting ready to have around education reform is important. I think we have one of the worst school systems really in all of what would be considered the first world. And so I think that that's a paramount issue that legislatively and socially we need to deal with. But I think at the end of the day, it's also about how do we build institutions and help people at the ground level maximize what they want to see happen in the communities where they are. And if we do those two things alone, we'll begin to see changes. But there's so many other issues that we need to deal with as well. I think artists should create the message that's in their heart to create. I mean, and I think that the biggest issue is I'd rather hear a negative artist that's honest than a positive artist who's a hypocrite. And so for me, it's about use the art form for what it was created for. Even if you become an entertainer and you're making money from it, at least allow your message to be honest and have integrity in it. So I'm not looking for everybody to be positive. I'm looking for people to be honest. And if people are honest, they still have the ability to talk about the reality of the conditions that are taking place in so many communities that nobody else will talk about. And but if you're allowing that space for people to be honest in music, then you're going to have the good with the bad, as opposed to telling people this is how they have to be in order to sell CDs. This should continue to be a genre of music where people are able to use it for expression and not just to make a profit.